are you? Let's start by Pledge of Allegiance.
Sounds good to me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Jess.
Councilman Sturgis is absent due to military leave. Councilman Livingston.
Present.
Councilwoman Krantz.
Present.
Councilman Taylor.
Present.
Councilman Papastrack.
Present.
President Scanlon.
Present.
Councilman Mazzo is absent. Village of Johnson City. Mayor Dini.
Mayor Dini, yes.
Trustee Reynolds.
Present.
Trustee Walker.
Yes.
Trustee Maney and
Trustee Gibb.
Goodwin are not here.
Correct.
Okay. So we'll start the meeting. Well, you guys start, right, again? I mean, you done with your presentation last time?
Yes, we already did our
Okay, you done?
opening statement.
Okay. So questions or comments on this?
Yeah, I had a question.
Councilman Wood.
So Charlie, when we were, when Conrad Taylor and I were touring the sewage treatment plant months ago, when you took us into the room with the centrifuges, I guess that was the solids handling building.
There's two solids handling buildings. The one's the old one, and then we have the new building.
Okay.
Which one did you go in? New?
I think it was the new building.
Okay.
And as I recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, there was a centrifuge that was sort of older, and maybe an extra one. Is that in the new?
No, the new building, you were in the old building then.
What's that? I was in the
Yeah,
old building.
it's,
Okay.
the new building has 3 brand new centrifuges. The old building has an old centrifuge, which is the first one we got. And that's a
Okay.
505, and then we bought the 2 536s after that.
Okay. So the reason why I was asking is, I think at the time, I can't remember who made the comment, but there was a comment made that maybe one of those older centrifuges could be repurposed at the water treatment facility to help with their sludge. Is that true? Is that the case?
Well, yeah, those machines have dewatered what they've sent us. So if it works where we are, it could work where they are.
And I'm not asking you to, speak out of class. Do you know much about not that you know much about the processing over at the water treatment facility, but
I've been down there.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been down there.
Has it ever been explored to put a little bit of extra processing capacity in at the water treatment facility?
Oh, I can't answer for the water
Okay.
treatment.
You'd have to ask the water treatment
Okay.
facility.
We can ask him
Joe, you
in
knew?
a couple of days.
Yeah.
I was just curious to know about the status of that machine because it seems
There's
like
3 machines that are going to be available, actually.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, those are items that would probably fall under sales and surplus equipment.
On the revenue portion of the sheet, it's $175,000. That includes those and also
It's
the
on
carousel.
the first page, 1 of 17, about halfway down, J42665.
Okay. Yep.
We'll make you a special deal.
And right now, they're all in good working order.
Okay. And what would happen to them otherwise? Are they just going to be sold?
They just
They would be sold.
Okay.
go out to bid.
All right. Maybe I'll bring that up at the budget hearing down the line.
Could be a good idea.
You got something?
Right.
Well, I've got a few things.
Councilman Papastrack?
Thanks. We're operating in a new building, of course, so a lot of these numbers, are they guesstimates? How do you figure, like, for instance, the electricity line's always been a bone of contention with the joint sewage system, so you've got it at $1.2 million, and in 2018 you used $223,000. So I know it's going to be a lot more power generated, but do we have to start at such a high number, or no?
We did go back to 2008 and 2009 when we were running similar systems that had the bubblers for the CN cells and the DN cells, and we looked at the electricity usage then, but converted it to modern kilowatt charges.
And what did you come up with?
And the ultraviolet.
This one, the plus 105,000 for ultraviolet, we came up with $1.2 million thereabouts. I can pull this up and actually give you the numbers that were there.
And we kind of compared it to when the Bio4 was online and all processes were online versus when the new biosphere is going to be going online. That's how we came up with that number. It was the best way to figure out what the energy costs could be. And then on top of that, we do have UV coming online.
Right. Did you figure for the efficiency of the new building also, as opposed to the old building?
When you say buildings,
Buildings.
we don't do much with electricity except lighting.
Oh, I see. Okay, but you know what?
It
But
will
for the
be
equipment
pumps
coming
and,
in.
yeah, pumps and blowers.
Right.
And also that the solar panels were all so considered into that too, that regenerate there on site.
Yeah, that was my next question. Where are the solar panels?
On the admin building roof,
And that is how much? What is that for exactly? What is that power?
50 kW.
And it's used for electricity for the buildings?
Yeah, in the admin building we're using it.
And it's up and running, so
Yes.
so it's working.
Yes.
You have anything that you have left over? Or no.
Nothing left over,
It's just about the admin building, basically.
not even close. It's about 26%.
How much?
About 26% of the admin building.
Jumping off that on the same topic before you move on.
Yeah.
You know, I'm under the impression, based on our previous conversations, that the new process is going to be a lot heavier on the electricity side and a lot lighter on the chemical side. So, you know, as we move in to this entirely new process, why is that still resulting in an increase of, you know, a significant amount in the chemicals line and not a decrease? And then also seeing that, you know, very significant increase in the electricity line.
Well, we are going to be using two chemicals will be only used in an emergency basis, which would be the sodium hypochlorite and the sodium thiosulfate. Hydrated lime, we won't be using as much of that anymore either, because we won't be lime stabilizing raw sludge. But what's going to offset that is the methanol. We're going to be using methanol for denitrification, and that will kind of increase our chemical costs substantially. That's why that hasn't really.
So it's less volume of chemicals, but some of the chemicals are more expensive that we're going to have to use in the new process?
The methanol price can vary drastically on the market. Charlie could probably elaborate on that, but it's depending on what's going on in the world, you know, world conditions. It can also go up very quickly, just like gasoline. Methanol is not very stable in the market.
We have a fairly good estimate. We worked with Kruger to come up with what we think on a typical day consumption would be. And we based it, I used $1.60 a gallon for methanol and came up just under $500,000 worth of just methanol. And that's at $1.60. We just went out for bids and got them in, and the low bid was $1.24 and the high bid was $1.70. The market changes. Methanol is used for dewatering by airports, so in the winter, de-icing. So the price can skyrocket certain times of the year, and there's also limited supplies. So if there's a flood, hurricane, tornado, where the refineries are, the price can go through the roof.
It's basic, and we'll be using methanol based on plant flow. So, just for instance, at 17 MGD, we'd use about 882 gallons a day. So, and then if you get into up to design capacity, which is 35 MGD for denitrification, you're looking at about 2,000 gallons a day. And the other two chemicals that we'll be using more of will be for the active flow, which is the ferric chloride, and also polymer. That's a new process. That's to help treat the backwash waste. So that's, I hope that helped to explain it a little bit better.
Does.
On the expense line, Charlie, you got contingency at 320,000. And can you tell me what you spent? I don't have last year's numbers. Can you tell me what you spent last year out of contingency?
Oh, spent it all. It was, I believe we went in at 225, started at 175 and up to. Let me see if I have this. Yeah, we completely depleted 2016, 17, and 18. We used the full amount in contingency. I'd have to look at the original budgets. Once it's used, it's zero on my lines.
So what did we use it for?
Some of it was electricity. We took a bunch out for fines recently. It's been used for unexpected events that come in where we have to replace something.
Well, being that we're going to be dealing with a lot of new stuff that's going to be under warranty and things of that nature, can we do 320? Will we knock 100,000 off, go with 220,000, and then say go from there?
Without giving too many hints, we're also coming into union negotiations, and we don't have anything built into the union salary line for wages. If we don't have it from contingency, we have to find it somewhere else.
Did you use that for the contingency line for union negotiations before?
Possibly.
It has been in the past.
We did use some of that for flight pumps too.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes,
Well,
those flight pumps are,
Yeah, it's the other unexpected
Well,
line.
that's our main
I'll throw it out
pumps.
to council that at some point we want to come back to that, revisit as far as cutting something out of that.
What was last year's level? It was.
What? I believe we started at 175 and ended up putting some into it and then fully consumed that.
Uh-huh.
So you got to 225 last year?
I think so. And that's just, I'd have to
Right,
look
right.
and,
But we increased it to 225, so.
once it's zero, I see it's zero on the system.
This said our adjusted budget was 178.
As of like today.
No, this is that's
Oh,
what we're
sorry,
budgeting.
2000. Right, okay. Yeah.
If you want, I'll make a motion to cut 100,000 and make it at 220 if you want.
I would say, considering its contingency, should be something that we revisit at the end. I mean, I don't think it's a necessarily bad idea.
Well, I mean, we have to start looking at stuff, but wherever, I mean,
We can revisit that.
yeah, we know that when there's a budget, everyone,
For the
everything on the
process-
budget, they're gonna, or
For the
whoever
process,
it is,
whenever
decide they
lines are
need that.
reduced, it goes to contingency, and then the last line you look at is contingency to see what
Alright.
to do. Just, that's what
Okay.
the procedure normally goes.
Okay, I just have one more item, and I'll give up my time. On the unfunded, or excuse me, the unfilled positions, there was 9 unfilled positions. You have. Correct? To start out with.
Yes. Yes, there's 9.
9. And you filled 3, or
No, we haven't filled any of them.
you haven't filled any? So, again, being that, how long we operated with 9 unfilled positions?
One is a new position, and then 2 of the positions are actually that the individuals have bump back rights.
Okay.
But
What's that mean? Bump back ranks.
you could bump back to your old position.
There was a letter sent from the city corporation council directing the board not to pursue permanently filling some positions. So they're filled by acting, right. That was March 9th, 2019 letter, or March 8th. It's too high for my bifocal, sorry. Where we were directed on the board not to permanently fill a couple positions and to fill them provisionally, but when we do that, we have to be able to have those people bump back because we hired from within. And you know, we're following the owner's direction in that regard, and that's why those positions are vacant at the present time. The other thing that would be important to note is that during the construction period when the plant is not at full operation, there was a strategic decision made by the prior superintendent with the concurrence of the board not to fill certain positions because it wasn't necessary for the operations, because the plant wasn't fully operating during construction. When we get to January 1st, 2020, under the consent order, we're supposed to be able to have a fully operational plant, and we're going to need full staffing. So that's why 2020 is going to be a different year than the past several years have been. So we have to look
But with, again, with a new plant, a lot more, I don't know how much more automation, but everything that we hear, there should be able to operate more efficiently with less people. So when we're talking, you've been operating with 36, and this makes it 45. What I'm going to ask you to do is cut 3 positions, 3 that you think you can do without. And by cutting, I mean not fund them. They'll still be there so that when it comes next year and things aren't running well or whatever, you think that we can revisit about those positions. But at this point, I'd like to ask you to pick 3 that you think you can do without, so that we can show the ratepayers that we're trying to do something to keep their rates as low as we can, considering the debt that we have to pass on. And you know, there, as some councilmen have noted, the public is nervous about it. So my request is that you find 3 positions that we can cut or not fill. We'll put that.
Not correct. Is there going to be a substantial amount more automation with the new, like the newly refurbished plant versus the one that we had prior?
The automation will be similar to what we had before, but there's a lot more that's there. There's a couple of new processes that weren't there before. One is the active flow, and the second one is mechanical thickening, and the third one is the gas scrubber system. And UV. UV reduces the need for chemicals, but one thing about a UV system is the lamps or bulbs. There's a crystal sleeve over top of the lamps that need to be cleaned. And they're kind of high maintenance, but it's a manpower thing, so it would just require more man hours to keep them clean. And there's a lot of pneumatic valves. I'm not sure the actual number, but I think there's like 142. Well, plus the DNs, yeah, plus the DNs. Those pneumatic valves require a lot of adjustments. They do once in a while get some water issues that can cause some damage, but there is more maintenance involved with starting up this new plant. There's just a lot more online to take care of is what I'm trying to get at.
Well,
And
taking into account what Councilman Papastrat said, that, there's a sincere appetite for, lower rates right now for the ratepayers.
I understand.
Is there somewhere in the budget where we could cut without sacrificing the integrity of this new plant?
I think
What would you suggest?
I don't want to do that, but
Well, none of us want to do that, but what would you suggest? Given that you guys put a lot of time into this budget, is there something that you can point to as an area that maybe we could shave a couple bucks off?
well, the new position is one of them. I don't know if I would have everybody agree with me on that.
What's the name of the new position?
Just a second. It's the safety coordinator and industrial hygienist. Right now, that individual is also the lab director, and it's just a lot for one person to handle with a plant that big.
Well, that sounds like an important position.
That's why it's in the proposed budget.
That's
So, I mean, you're asking to come to cut a new position that evidently they need. So what I'm saying is, there's 9 positions there that are not currently funded or not currently filled. And I'm asking that they pick the 3 that they feel they can try open the plant without them being filled, so that we show significant savings in this new budget.
What are those? What would those 3 positions be, guys? I mean,
I would have to. I got 2 mechanic assistants openings right now. If I had to, there's 2.
They're one of the lowest paid players on here, right?
Not necessarily. Building maintenance helper is the lowest paid. Instrumentation, we only have 1 instrumentation tech right now. That we really need another one.
yeah.
I need another instrumentation with all this new instrumentation going on. The only other place I don't really want to eliminate any operator jobs because operators are hard to get as it is. So the last one would be hard for me to come up with.
Well, you know what, I don't want to put you on the spot right now, but that's my request, and I would like you guys to, when you get together or whatever, figure it out. I'm not asking you to figure it
I
out
guess it all
right now.
depends on where we're going after tonight.
Doesn't
Well,
it
we're
need
gonna
to be-
voting on this tonight, we're gonna have another meeting.
then.
It doesn't need to be approved tonight, or when's the deadline?
24.
5 days?
Tuesday,
So, we can talk about a meeting on Monday the 23rd.
to
We get together
finalize if we
again.
can't do a thing. We have council.
We've
another
already
hour.
got our
I
budget
don't-
hearings starting.
Sorry?
We've got our budget hearings.
Yeah, but we
starting
can
Monday.
bump that out. Yeah, now we realize that. We can bump that out.
You know, you have your electricity, and we bumped it up. You were at $1 million last year, we bumped it to 1.2 million. And I understand that coming online, we're gonna use a lot more electricity. But what about the pump stations? Aren't they running already now? And are they gonna be running more?
Yes.
It's gonna be 1.2 to 1.4 billion gallons of wastewater more coming through the Binghamton side pump station and the head house, because there's been diversion during the construction where the full flow doesn't come into the plant, some of it just goes out into the river. You know, and they have 6 settling tanks down right now that they're refurbishing, so the plant can't take the full flow into the plant. something to keep in mind, that as this construction has been going on, the plant has been very limited in its operation, hence the lower expenses, because it hasn't been fully functional. You know, and that's just simple, the reality of going through this major upgrade to get the work done. They have to have certain sections that are offline so they can get the work done properly. And DEC has permitted a certain level of discharges. You know, they're not happy about it, but you know, they understand that for the long haul, it's a necessary part of the process.
And how come such a big jump in the telephone, fax, and internet?
You have to have fire alarms in all the elevators and at every building now. They require phone lines for each that we've never had before. Two dedicated phone lines.
For each.
We might not have enough in that budget, by the way. We're turning out, because we also have to have a contractor monitor those 24 hours a day.
I'm looking at the lubricants line on page 4, as well as the gasoline/diesel line. For the lubricants line specifically, I remember us having a conversation about this during last year's budget process, and you know, all these promises essentially that you know, we needed so much more in this line, even though we had only hit, you know, $1,100 expended in 2018. Obviously, we're not on track for that right now, or even close.
The manufacturer requires for this new equipment that it be run with their required lubricant, and it has to be changed quickly after the first a low number of hours. So it's much more expensive than when we're going and using what we would buy for the low bid lubricant after they're off warranty. So
10 times more expensive?
It's very expensive.
Yeah, we'd have to use what the manufacturer recommends before we could go to something that's less expensive.
10 times.
I don't know if it's 10 times. I can't.
Needs to stay on warranty.
So,
I mean, these pumps.
But just a less
expensive.
Expensive alternative. They're out there.
Three times
We
more
would have to
expensive
find
than 6
them.
times more
warranty.
equipment.
Well, during the warranty period, we would want to run their manufacturer's recommended oil. It is more expensive.
so and there's more equipment that needs to be lubricated as well.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the new equipment will be required at manufacturers.
And what about the gasoline/diesel line? I mean, that again, we're only at 6,000 mid-August.
We have a new 8,000 gallon diesel storage tank now for the generators. And they're going to have to be cycled, I believe it's monthly. We haven't seen the system on that yet. So we're going to be buying that much more diesel. Also hauling more trips to the dump because we're going to be settling out more solids. So for the trucks.
I see the insurance went up, not drastically, but is that a direct quote from the insurance company?
No,
What's your estimate?
that's an estimate. As buildings come online, we're going to have to have them appraised and we'll pen down the insurance company. So it's just a ballpark guess. There's also going to be a big swing one way or the other to get. We have the flood wall up, but we haven't been recognized as a flood-free zone by FEMA. So even though we have the flood wall, it's not going to save us any real insurance until we're actually certified as being safe at that level.
When does that happen?
I don't know. I'm not even sure who approaches who on that. So FEMA actually has to, because we're in a zone, that whole zone is considered flood prone, they have to make an exception for just our little island. I don't know if any of the contractors have approached for that, or if that's up to us.
We're waiting for the construction management or the lead agency to turn over to the plant final certification from the engineering firms, and the south and the west part of the flood protection was by one firm and one construction firm and one engineering firm, and the north and the east was by a different engineering firm and a different construction company. And until a certification that's unified by one engineer is provided, we can't go forward with the FEMA certification process. Right now, I believe the construction manager's priority is on the startup to meet the consent order. You know, and it's got to be addressed, but it hasn't been addressed yet. And when it is addressed, it'll be acted on.
Well, we have carpet cleaning in here for $1,000. We have a brand new building. We're gonna clean the carpet already?
They're runners, well, yeah. You know what people step through to get into that building from the council?
Yeah, right now it's pretty bad.
I wouldn't cut that. I've done enough to, I'd like part of that budget actually clean my shoes. Yeah. Not actually, for the record.
Just say that in an open meeting,
So legal services, that's been cut to zero. Are there no longer any need for legal services?
We have a large agreement with them. There's enough that's going to be carried forward from existing agreement. So there's a balance on the purchase order for this. So we don't have to increase for Mr. Berry or cover what's going to happen this year.
Sorry, say that again. Increase?
We have, there's, I believe, 467,000 or some balance left with the agreement that we've already accrued for and encumbered. So we're going to carry that forward into this year with no additional.
There's a purchase order out there that they're not going to use up by the end of this year.
I'm not sure the exact amount.
Gotcha.
It's large.
Okay.
And again, I believe the litigation counsel is waiting for completion of construction so they can go forward, because that way they can prove what the cost was. And they can't prove what the cost was until it's actually expended. That's my understanding. I've heard from counsel otherwise. They're still doing some depositions. That's all part of the litigation process.
Your centrifuges. You got $65,000 on there. Isn't there some kind of a warranty on those for the first year at least?
There has to be.
Yeah, there's a warranty on it.
Then why do we want 65,000 maintenance on it? Maintenance agreements.
What page is it?
What's 7?
Page 7. Under maintenance agreements.
Well, why is this centrifuges and processes?
The same with the generators room too.
I mean, can we cut that? Because you've got a warranty on those. It's got to be at least a year's warranty.
What about these other maintenance agreements? It's all new stuff, right?
Keep in mind, if you cut it, you have to put it back in.
Are these
when the
maintenance
warranty's
agreements that are in
Right, we
place?
understand that. That could be next year. There should be at least a year's warranty on this.
Hang on, guys, too many people talking at once here. The question is, if those are maintenance agreements, are those agreements that we're putting in place to, as we go, maintenance agreement, you pay up front for those, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like buy something at the store, you get a maintenance agreement, it's gonna work. Is that what these are, per se, or this is just, because this is maintenance agreements. So, you know what I'm saying, are these agreements that we're purchasing for the equipment in order to keep the, warranty work on the equipment moving forward, like.
Can we get back with you on an answer for that?
Sure,
Yeah.
please.
Howard didn't make it tonight.
Sure.
And he is involved with these maintenance agreements.
Right, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and that's what we did have on the old centrifuges, was maintenance agreements.
So,
Travel and training for the board, $2,000. We didn't spend anything in 18, we didn't spend anything in 19, but we got $2,000 in there.
Because of the litigation that's pending, it requires or may require out-of-town travel. and it hasn't progressed this year where that's been necessary, but there has to be an ability, if we have to go to a hearing in Albany and give testimony. Like last year, I was in depositions for 3.5 days, but fortunately we did it in Johnson City. So I didn't have to travel out of town, no hotel and all that. And there's other board members involved in that as well.
What's this line in here, industrial pretreatment, what is that?
Yeah.
Well, we have permitted industrial users in the area to do some pre-treatment. So we actually, there's a fee they pay to be part of the program. There's fees associated with it. We do lab testing. So they actually, like Frito-Lay is the largest one. They have a large pre-treatment process, but they also have to be tested, monitored. Because of what we know they're sending us, we bill them specifically rather than part of the general government revenue. So there's a separate revenue line. You see on the front there, it's over $1 million. This is the offset to the testing and to monitor that program. We have an engineering firm that visits them and makes sure they're doing things properly. We do penalize and fine them if they're not.
And there's certain limits they have to meet for permits, to discharge permits.
And it's a US EPA requirement to have this program.
The city is one of the participants.
Hardware, software, and key system. The hardware, software, we only spent $1,000, and it's $12,000. You know, for the proposed budget. Is that anticipating for the new?
Some of it. Software upgrades, that would be Windows operating systems for all the office people. There's a replacement that the IT director we have goes through, the oldest first. Basically, he uses up his budget. He hasn't spent a lot this year yet because he's waiting to see how much he has left before he starts replacing some of the older equipment. But typically is a November, December expense.
Right, there's a bill listed on this week's board listing for that as well. So I mean, you're right, it is the last part of the year cost.
Sure, okay. Key system?
That's basically security and entry. A lot of new buildings, we're gonna have to change the locks. They're giving us locks where everything's key to like. We don't want that, so. Or totally keyed separately, which isn't good either. People don't want to carry 20 keys.
Right. And then there's just one more I had on page 7, dues and memberships. How many of those are really necessary, and what do we get out of memberships?
We have
54,702.
Typically, we have to belong to, and these are not necessarily individuals, so a lot of them superintendent, National Fire Protection Association, the electricians, I think, are members of that. New York State Safety and Health, New York Rural Water Association, $386. Association of Appropriated Environmental Labs, $350. New York Municipal Purchasing Official, that's me, $50. Do I need it? No, but it's helpful. There's certain things I can participate in for bids or contracts that I wouldn't otherwise. Water Environmental Association, $80. Sam's Club, we actually have memberships, so we can send people over to get paper products much cheaper than you could from, say, a Granger or other store. Water Environment Federation, $583. SAIC, which is water, I'm not sure what it actually stands for, but it's security. It's $1,000. That's a very expensive one. We get publications, periodicals, and he gets information alerts that are part of that. There's nothing in here that's like really a magazine that anybody gets just for the heck of it. Most of them are not individuals, except for certain people like Title, the electricians,
With the Water Environmental Federation, what you get discounts through them, if you're a member, for getting contact hours to renew your license. So that's a plus for that member.
Okay, over in your transfer to capital fund, are we still paying for that hillside building for Mr. Simmons?
Yes.
Why don't we transfer him to that admin building? So we don't have to pay $875 a month?
One reason is his hours are not the same as our hours. He comes in as needed, is there a lot of weekends.
We can't find space for him though in the admin
We
building?
have to give him full access to the building at all times. We can't just limit him to come in when he wants or when we're there. Technically, I guess we could, but we get reimbursed for that. So that's recapturable from FEMA, $375 a month.
We get reimbursed for that specifically?
It's part of what he collects. I do believe, he includes that in the application to FEMA. So we get probably a percentage of that, but 75% of that. I'd have to check it to make sure, but that was my understanding years ago, I believe.
I think it just makes more sense to have the admin building. Does it not? I mean, is there a practical reason not to have him with the station?
I mean, if we're getting 75% only,
He's got large files in the
why take anything from us? Put him in the admin building and we're not paying anything there.
On that same note with the capital fund, the expenses, you've got 1,000% increase on the transfer to capital fund, and the second one, 133% increase. But 1,000% increase from the budget.
The second one there, the flood capital, that again, that's to pay for Simmons' recovery. He goes out and gets money from FEMA, charges us a percentage of what he captures. That's that $303,000. So figuring he's gonna go out and get us.
And the one on top of that, 455,000?
Yep. That's 1/3 of a new dump truck. We figure 3 years from now, the Volvo is going to need to be replaced. $200,000 for digester cleaning. Now we've got 3 digesters up every 5 years. They have to be cleaned. It costs about $1 million to go through that. So we're putting 1/5 of that to build that budget. Roof repairs. There still are roofs that are not new roofs that have to be taken care of. TPS pumps. They need to be rebuilt and refurbished. We won't be getting anything new for those. $15,000 for the volume thickener overhead door. That's a big door they have in the thickener building. We need a way to open and close that. They basically chopped it apart for part of the ventilation system temporary, so they're gonna have to replace that.
Wait, who chopped it apart?
With the contractors.
Why would they chop apart $15,000 door?
The one that was there wasn't that. They just chopped into the frame.
Different door.
They had to modify the ventilation system. That was the only way they could do it.
$100,000 for the head house. And $20,000. Head house, I'm sorry.
Yeah, rebuild, refurbish.
Rebuild, refurbish pumps. And $20,000 for methanol replacement hose pumps. We have totally different pumps that we've never used before. They're systolic pumps that actually explosion proof. It's a contained system. It actually works like what they use when you see people getting heart transplant. They're very expensive and we have no way to take one offline to service it, so this would give us a chance to drop it into service a pump that needs rebuilding. Total is $455,000.
Yeah, it would serve as a backup too if we lost one. Because you need one for each DN cell. To pump methanol to cell.
Going back to the travel and training, it's not a big amount, but, and I understand certifications and renewal, but with the new system coming online, wouldn't all the training be included to train the people for the new system?
We've received a lot of training to date. The training afterwards would be, it'd be more of an advanced training, which you would go right to the manufacturers. A lot of them offer training on site, and in some cases, you would have to travel and stay overnight. It could be a 2 or 3 day course on a piece of equipment.
That's especially true for the maintenance training, right?
And yes, mostly for maintenance. Also, we still have the operator certification.
Right.
Contact hours operators have to get to renew their license. Electricians, they have to go to arc flash training every 2 years, and we have one electrician that's gonna have to go next year, and if we hire another electrician, that's 2 electricians. We'll have to go for the arc flash training.
Can we go back to the digester cleaning for 1 minute? Once every 5 years, and you're asking for 200,000, and you're gonna be asking for that for every year until it's needed. Is there someplace else that money can be put instead of in the capital? Because somebody, the reason why I'm saying this, it's in capital, somebody can use it for something, and all of a sudden the money's not there. Is there someplace else the money can be put?
Digester capital line, they'd have to use it for digester capital unless the board or owners opt to transfer it somewhere else.
It doesn't say digester capital line, it reads transfer to capital fund.
No, that does, but the capital line will now have, whatever, been 6 lines that correspond to the monies we're transferring. Yeah, it will have a specific line.
JH 8130554045 is literally just.
Right.
And do they have to come back to the trustees and the council when it's time to use this money and clean it? Yeah. Okay.
If it were to be transferred.
What's that?
If somebody was going to propose to transfer that money to a different purpose, that's a budget modification that would have to go through the owner legislative bodies.
I think that should be frozen in there, can't be transferred.
I agree with you on that.
So why don't we put it, why don't we make a different line for it?
It already has the line. It's the line.
I see the line up there,
Councilman Taylor gave you the line number.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, put it in a line where it cannot be touched other than for that purpose. No, so that you can't transfer it.
It can't be transferred. Nobody can come to us and say, hey, we want to transfer this money out of the digester line. It's got to be someplace frozen so it can never be transferred.
Transfer to capital is something that demonstrates this is a fund, it's going to a different fund. There's one piece for that, but when it hits the capital fund, it's put into 7 different specific lines that say digester cleaning, vehicles, roof repair.
Is there a reserve?
Reserve. The capital fund.
No,
we don't have any kind of reserve. We have a capital fund that's.
What Charlie, what I think we really need to do here is set up a reserve, because you guys are looking, $200,000 is not going to do you any good for what you want to do with this project.
No.
You want $1 million.
Yes.
And your intention is to do $200,000 a year for 5 years to get to $1 million, which I don't disagree with, okay? What I'm saying is we could set up a legal reserve where that $200,000 has to go in that account every year. You guys can't cut it in future years.
Right.
Okay, you're gonna put $200,000 in there to get the $1 million, and it has to be used to do these digester repairs in 5 years, which had not been done in the past.
So they can't cut it and they can't take it out. They're
gonna have to come to you to do the repairs in 5 years on this project.
You can't take it out, I think is what he's saying.
Well, it's
Because
exactly
now,
right.
The council has in the past taken our capital and put it
There
other
you go.
places.
So we're looking to
I mean,
eliminate
we're
that.
going to have a new council coming aboard here eventually.
Right. They may want to cut more than we ever cut.
Yeah,
I
they
wasn't
may want
happy
to
when
cut.
it happened, but
We
I
don't
had the power
know,
to
you know.
prevent it, so.
I'm just looking to protect our interests that we're investing into.
Your controller can do such a thing, but there's no way I could do that, but he could.
So we can create.
So if he agrees to it.
We can talk to Ken and Cheryl Stocko and create something for that money to make it happen.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's the way to do it.
Other questions right
It's still
now?
part of the budget. but
Yes, it's still part of
Yes, it's still part of the budget, we understand that.
Okay.
It's just,
I want to make sure that was clear.
they
that's
can
all.
be cut and they can be used for anything else. That's all we're saying.
That's a good thing for the long-term life cycle of the digester to have that money so you can do the proper maintenance.
And what everyone has to understand, we're doing about $30 million worth of repairs upstream these digesters. To put $1 million into them and keep them proper is the right thing to do.
Correct. Sure. Yeah, no argument.
Now, it's best to do it now and be ready for it going forward.
Absolutely.
That's like I've explained, we did that with our water tanks. we had 2 water tanks we had to redone. It cost us $6 million to redo them, but we put them into a maintenance plan, basically, so we put money aside every year now with the company, so they oversee repair, maintenance on them, but when it comes time 20 years from now, the money's gonna be there to redo those tanks again.
Sure.
Because that's what we'll need, so.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So now that we're getting close to the end of this, I think it's worth revisiting Councilman Patstrat's idea around contingency. After talking through everything, I think it would make sense to return it to the 200,025 number that ended up being adjusted to in the past year. I don't know. Does that sound satisfactory to you?
I would agree with that.
Councilman Perry making a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
And are we going to approve this whole budget today?
I'm not sure if we're
I
ready for
don't
that
know.
yet.
We
I don't
can do
think
that.
so.
We have one more meeting, so we can do it then.
So can I have a voice vote all in favor of altering this budget line?
Aye.
That was reducing it to what, 100?
Reducing it
From 320 to
95,000.
225,000.
$95,000.
Yes.
I think moving offices to the administrative office.
Oh yeah, what line is that?
Can't remember.
John, where was that line?
Which one was
The
that?
staff person who was
Yeah,
not in
and
the
the other
admin
office,
building.
but moving.
Where did I see that? Was
From
that
Hillside.
transfer flood capital? Yeah. It was Mr. Simmons.
It's
It
for
was a hand. It's,
17.
which one is it? It's
the capital line.
yeah, it's in the capital line.
John, let me say something about that. They got, I don't know the $300,000, but one thing that is not in there, okay, and I believe Charlie and that's right, they get reimbursed on the building through FEMA. We just don't know when we're gonna get reimbursed, okay? But talking to 2 different auditors today on this issue, one told me that we should accrue all that when we expend this $300,000 next year, okay? Which would be in the JF, not just the transfer from J to JF, but when we actually pay Simmons, we should accrue that revenue, okay? Other ones said you probably shouldn't accrue it all, you should only accrue what you think you're gonna collect in 6 or 7 months at the end of the year. So what I'm saying is, some of that 300,000 worst case should be accrued, meaning that we should put a revenue number somewhere of what we may anticipate we will collect, like July 2021.
So if we put them in our building, can we charge them the same as we're charging for the Summit building?
Sure.
No, because the board provides the space to Simmons, and the board pays for that space. It's not a Simmons expense.
So we're putting him in there and we're providing that revenue to them in our own building instead of leasing the building.
So FEMA would reimburse would reimburse them anyway.
Right.
But contractually with Simmons, we provide space. There's no provision in his contract for them to pay for space.
I think what he's saying then is that the board will rent space from Johnson City for the guy to stay in, instead of staying across the street from him. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I'm not following this discussion at all because
What he's saying is, if you don't want them to be in the administration building, which I think you guys have pretty much said, okay?
No, they haven't
That's
said
not
that.
what he's saying.
No, I'm saying put them in the administration building and then bill that way, and then if we get reimbursed, fine. If we don't get reimbursed, we're not out any money.
Yeah, but I don't think we do, because he's saying we have to provide that space.
contractual.
Right, which we do, and we
We do,
get
and
reimbursed.
And we're doing it in a building where we're paying rent. We put them in our own building.
Yeah, that way if we don't get anything back, we don't.
So we can still charge for the space in our own
I
building.
don't
But we're
think
not
that-
charging
I don't think that
Simmons.
FEMA would reimburse
He'll need a
us.
secure
Yeah,
area
we're
that
not-
he can walk
I don't know,
around.
we're not charging
Right, we're getting
Simmons.
reimbursed from FEMA, so
For
we can
space
still get
we
reimbursed.
lease.
is what
No,
I'm
no, no,
saying.
for space we don't own that we
Yeah.
It's
lease.
space we don't own. It's space we don't own. We put them on space we own. How do we
Yeah.
charge people
Yeah.
for that?
Yeah.
That's, we're not renting the space to Simmons.
But we're not sure that we're going to reimburse anything.
We're renting the space from Hillside to put him in there. So,
How many years has that been going on?
Since 2014.
Have you been reimbursed every year from FEMA?
We've gotten millions and millions and millions of dollars
Other than
back
that,
from FEMA that this
I
man
understand.
has been responsible for collecting that we might not have gotten.
We're not saying anything about his job. We're just saying, so that lease money that you're paying to Hillside, does that come separate, or are you just including that in all the money that's coming in?
It's probably lumped in with HPW.
Everything should be broken down.
So you don't know if you're getting reimbursed for that?
Yeah,
should be.
proof that we're getting reimbursed.
I mean, it's nice that he's collecting millions of dollars, and that's.
I can check with him, he's asked for the chemicals we've spent for the CEBT, so we can go after him for that, and I assume that would be a line item, so we could probably do it. He may have an actual report, we just never asked him.
Monday, right? We're gonna meet Monday?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who
He
can't make,
he has to leave.
who can't make Monday at 5 o'clock? You can all make it? Good. We'll plan on that.
You weren't quick enough.
I don't wanna wait.
Um,
Yes, we'll plan on a meeting Monday at 5 o'clock.
that works.
You want to meet here, or you want to meet in Johnson City?
We have to meet here because we
Oh,
have
that's
a
right, you got
budget
a
meeting.
you got a
after,
budget
so
meeting afterwards,
we
that's
gotta
right.
be here if we can do that.
Yep, no, we can do that.
Okay.
17.
It's all fine.
All right, is there other questions on the budget? Let's try to recap what we got going here. So Councilman Pappenstrand asked you to cut 3 positions. And you're getting back to us on that, right?
Unfund 3
Unfund
positions.
three.
not-
Unfund, not cut them, but unfunded.
Unfund.
So far, we have 2.
You're gonna get back to us on the
Warranty work.
$65,000
The maintenance agreements.
Right.
and the plus the maintenance agreement, right? And I don't know if Councilman Pappenstrand's question was ever answered. Do we know we're getting reimbursed for the $875?
I'll have to check and make sure. Knowing Howard is on some report somewhere, if he can demonstrate that. We'll verify.
Okay, thank you. Other questions?
Motion to adjourn.
Return.